Got your marketing webinar information, so I plan to join in on that tomorrow.
Yeah, the price is right.
Exactly. Professional development free of charge.
I thought the title was appropriate for some of our purposes.
Yeah, for some of our current discussions. So certainly, yeah, I agree. Hey, Ryan, Jonathan, I've been doing committee minutes for the last several meetings. Can one of you take care of getting minutes out to the group for this one?
Sure.
We can both take notes and then combine them.
Yeah, well, that's what we've been doing. So you might just want to share your notes with Jennifer. Make sure she doesn't have anything to add, or type them up and see if she wants them edited or something. That's what I've been doing. It seems to work pretty well.
I appreciate you taking on all those other committees.
Well, when we hire Cindy's successor, that'll make things a lot easier for the rest of us. Did everyone have a good weekend? Saturday was good. I did go to the wine festival. That was not $50 worth of fun. That's okay. What it cost for me and Callie to go in, and there were 4 wineries with which you could get tastings from.
Have you been previously?
Yeah.
Okay. It wasn't like that before, though, right? The years I've been, there's like at least 20 wineries or breweries there, right?
There was more than I could get around to.
Right.
Was that Saturday at the sports complex?
Yes.
Yeah, we were there for a soccer, so we passed all the folks heading the other way.
It was pretty well attended, and frankly said, I mean, these things are supposed to be drawing people in and increasing our tourism. And I'm sure there were some non-24112 area code visitors, but no one got my contact info, my zip code, or anything, So to me, it really just seemed to be a situation where people who knew each other kind of congregated, So anyway, a little disappointing in terms of the content, but and overpriced, to be blunt.
Not enough samples?
There wasn't much to do. There was one food truck, the 4 wineries, and there's a new brewery theoretically getting underway here in Martinsville. So they were there as well. So, but there really wasn't anything else to do. There was a musician who played an acoustic guitar for the first part of it. Now, the last musician who played, he was on his own, but he used a lot of electronic stuff. He was very well received by the group. But it was
one food truck? Just one food truck?
One food truck. So I don't know what to say. I'm just not impressed with the effort that went into it. I just thought it was, it was nice, but it could have been a lot more, especially for the price. And I know I'm live on YouTube. I'm speaking my mind. Hi, Mary. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Nathan.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Okay, so the only
Do we have everyone, Joe?
We don't have Barry, but okay. I hadn't heard from him. And well, I didn't set this meeting up, but Ryan, Jonathan, did you hear specifically from Barry or Tom?
I heard from Barry a couple of times. He said, "Looking forward to it. I'll be there." And I resent the Zoom link to make sure, and he said, "Got it." Okay. I did not hear from Tom.
Okay, I'd sent Tom some communications as well before the weekend, and I hadn't heard back, so he might be swamped with the teaching schedule right now.
Good terms.
Maybe. It just seems like everybody who's teaching at the college level, it just seems to be extra stressed at the moment. So might be contagious. So Jennifer, I would recommend we just go ahead and get
Okay.
started. And if someone joins late, we can catch them up.
All right. Well, welcome everybody to the Finance and Marketing Committee meeting. Going to move into item 2, the review of the fiscal year 21 first quarter financials, and I'm going to turn it over to Jonathan.
Sure thing. You guys have heard most of it before. Some good news on the horizon. 27,000 will be coming from the city. They have acknowledged the fact that they will be giving us our yearly contribution this year, which we greatly appreciate. There are several projects in the works currently. The foundation, of course, is holding on to those funds until the work is done or there's a match, and then we apply for the funds and then they're transferred over. Big news, I guess, this round. You guys will see it on the next balance sheet. I think our board meeting is the 13th of November.
21st.
21st of November. Okay. Well, I will absolutely get the finances done for that for October as well. And you'll see an additional 31,000 coming for our VITA audit, which is great. And then there will be an APA audit, similar tone to that. Haven't received the bill for that one yet, but I was hoping I would have it on this balance sheet, but I do not. They haven't billed us yet, which I'm just assuming the state's like anybody else. They want to make their balance sheet look good. So if they had good revenues this month, I would assume they pushed it. You'll see, I'll make a note of this before the next board meeting, but our subscriptions has increased. That's due to Zoom. I have put in for $14,000 in CARES money to try to offset some of the costs of cleaning, sanitation stations. There's a backpack sprayer coming, which we're pretty excited about for large scale cleanings of rooms. That is in the works. Other things, the elevator, all the contracts have been signed for that. Signed a PO for that 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I think we're just getting on their schedule to get that work completed. And that'll be maintenance reserve funds.
I don't know that everyone knows about our elevator situation. We met with the facilities committee.
Yes.
So maybe just give the 30 seconds on that, please.
Sure. So there's been some spending going on, if you guys didn't know already, to try to just push along the elevator we do have, and that number seems to keep climbing. So we got 2 quotes, one for roughly 96,000 and one for 67,000 to do a full replacement. So all we're keeping is the box, essentially the motor, the electrical, the computer will all be upgraded. We went with a $67,000 quote, and then just trying to get that moving forward as quickly as possible. It's been down for 2 months now ish. Just trying to get that up as quick as possible. We got lucky. That's one of the few things we've gotten lucky about with COVID happening was our attendance was, we've had attendance, but it hasn't been the numbers that we'd like to see. And having that elevator down during that time is kind of just lucked out. But we will, those funds are available. That work's going to get started as soon as we can get it started. And you guys won't notice anything, I don't think, when you come use the elevator next time, because everything should look similar, but it will be working 100%. Last year, I believe, I told everybody we put a cooler on there, and that's roughly 10,000. And then the numbers just kept adding up. So Joe and Tim and maintenance got quotes for the full replacement, as opposed to just continue to maintain it. Anything else anybody has? The Senate and House have both kind of pushed through committee hearings. Everything looks to be approved on their end. We're waiting for a vote and a final signing by the governor from the budget coming out of the special session. So no movement there. Good news from our budget analyst. She said everything's fine. Just make sure everybody knows it's still all up in the air and could change, but the fact that it's gone through all the committees and we've got all the reports out of there, I think that we got about a 90% chance of everything staying the same through December into the short session, which is probably where they'll kick it to, just to make sure revenues are still coming in and make sure everything's a-okay with the economy, or as good as it can be, rather.
I'll just point out as well, our strategy seems to be effective. You know, we are only open 2 days a week, Fridays and Saturdays right now, getting maybe 80, 100 people per day. I'm sorry, per weekend. So our attendance is going to be understandably way low. And I've asked the staff to actually target next October for our first in-person festival. We don't have a crystal ball, obviously, but we feel it's prudent to plan for it. We'll do some more drive-through festivals locally as well, just to continue to look outward towards the community. And the reason I say that our strategy is effective is that we basically shut the building down mostly. Staff still have access to it. They're still on 50% telecommute, but we're keeping staff densities low. We've had a couple of incidences where people either tested positive or had suspected they might be positive, so they quickly self-isolated. The people that they interacted with isolated as well and got tested. There has been no cross-contamination, so if someone came out positive, there was no transfer of virus here at the museum. So, but on top of that, it's also caused us to save quite a bit of money. We're not spending as much money on activities, obviously, but also with utilities and so forth, our spending is down. So, overall, I'll just echo what Jonathan says, is that I think we're in good shape to hopefully restart more normal activities somewhere early in the next fiscal year, and we can just put this one behind us. That being said, I just want to say, and as I reported to the advisory committee last week, we're still succeeding. I mean, education and some of the researchers have been putting on a lot of online content and has been very well received. We receive a lot of good commentary from the community. They very much appreciate it. We've started virtual homeschooling programming, so that has greatly expanded our audience there. We have so many more people from around Virginia. And Brian, do you know if any of them are from outside Virginia?
I think there are some North Carolina. I don't have the exact numbers, but
yeah, I think Christy was mentioning that we've expanded in North Carolina for that. And of course, the researchers continue they continue to publish their work. We just came out with the latest volume of the Insects of Virginia series. So we are still meeting mission. We're just doing it in a more quiet way this particular fiscal year. So I'll turn things back over to Ryan and Jonathan for anything they might want to add.
Joe, sorry. I was
Go ahead.
echoing the savings that we're seeing through the first quarter here. And then there's some projects that we might have in the pipeline coming up. Just want to make sure those savings are solidified before we talk about those projects.
I think that's about what we have, Jennifer, unless any of the board members have questions.
Okay, so let's move on to item 3, application of fiscal year 21 advancement plan. Ryan and Joe.
Thanks, Jennifer. So yeah, I'll kind of get things started, and then Joe obviously will provide input as well. So what we did not want to do is just go over the entire advancement plan, all 36 pages or however many it ended up being. But what we did want to talk about is how we're applying that to our operations now, both at the strategic level, but also at the sort of operations day-to-day level. And so Joe kind of touched on the virtual programming, but also the limited in-person programming that we're doing now. So you've hopefully all seen samples of things like the Ben in Nature, Tales of Ancient Life, Museum Minute. So these are really, I think, really engaging programs. They've been very popular with visitors. We've seen the viewership grow, but also people subscribing to Facebook because of these programs. And so they're delivered by both educators and research staff. And so it's been a great way to sort of introduce people to the museum, new visitors, but also engaging longtime visitors and donors and people that we want to keep in contact with. So what we talked about is how do we monetize these programs? There are different ways of doing that, obviously. There are things like subscriptions, fee-based, pay-per-program kind of thing. But the sort of the route we've taken so far is making these free of charge, available to as many people as possible. And then on the back end, we are getting grants and corporate partnerships to underwrite these programs. So it's worked out really well so far. The supporters are very happy because it's open access. We are able to say, it's open to everyone. That's a huge selling point for the grants that we've gotten, the corporate partnerships. And then, of course, for the people receiving the programs, it's free of charge. So the way we do that is then put the name of the supporter on the programs, brought to you by, presented by, things like that. So actually just got an email today. We've been talking to Carter Bank and Trust. They've been a longtime partner. And so we had a nice sort of series of phone calls talking about the programs we're doing, and they're very excited about it, and they want to apply their money toward Museum Minute and also Ben and Nature specifically. So that's just one example. We're also working with Boxley, Patterson Foundation, different supporters for that. So that's kind of our approach so far, and it's been pretty lucrative so far. The one of the good things about it as well is the actual expenses are fairly low. There are things like obviously staff time, equipment. So we have invested back into the virtual programming. We bought some nice sort of telephoto lenses that the staff are using. So it's been a nice shot in the arm, both in terms of fundraising, but also marketing and outreach as well. Item B is how sort of the audiences. So we in the advancement report, there's quite a bit of space dedicated to identifying who our audiences are, who are we trying to target, what are we trying to do to target those audiences. And obviously during this time, things have changed. So we still want to engage previous audiences, but our audiences have changed. So one thing we've seen is just as far as zip codes, we are seeing now over 50% of our visitors physically to the museum are coming from outside both Virginia and North Carolina. So that's a huge number. That 50% number previously was about 2 to 3%. And so we've kind of dug into that. And our first sort of thought is there's a lot of road trips happening. People are on the road. They're not really flying anywhere. So families that maybe the kids are being homeschooled or doing virtual programming are on the road now, taking sort of day trips and multi-day trips. So we've seen folks from all over, not only the region, but from far-flung states as well.
Just to
So-
underscore that,
Yeah.
Brian, I just want to point out that in the previous fiscal year, in rough numbers, it was around 1,200 people came from states other than Virginia and North Carolina. This year, at the current pace, it would be something like 2,000 to 3,000 by the end of the fiscal year. So it'd be an approximate double, more than doubling of the number of people coming from out of state.
So for online audiences, we do a lot of work with looking at the demographics, sort of digging into the social media statistics and analytics. And we also do the in-person, like I said, zip codes. We also do some informal, we always try to have staff chatting with people as they come in. Hey, what brought you here? Where are you headed? Things like that. So we would love to, we're going to try to expand that and figure out, again, why are these people in the area? Is it museum specifically? Are we one stop of many stops, or are they just kind of going through and they want to stop? And that'll help us kind of figure out what our marketing is doing. Are we reaching people, sort of traveling audiences like that? Or are they coming here again specifically for VMNH? So the more we can do to capture that research and that data, things like surveys at the box office, I'd love to hear any ideas as far as capturing those that audience research.
Hey, Ryan, are we capturing information on how many people who are coming to the museum are members of, sorry, I'm asking this badly. Just so everyone knows, we belong to the Association of Science and Technology Centers, which is a national organization, frankly, international. And if you are a member of an Aztec member, you get reciprocity at the other institutions. So for instance, if you're a member of VMNH, you can go to Danville Science Center, which is an Aztec member, and get free admission. So do we have information on how many reciprocal admissions that we have been obtaining this fiscal year?
We do. And right now it's combined with our membership, but we have the data separate, so we can actually add a line item on the advancement report. but it's been very strong. The sort of the information I've gotten so far. We get a lot of folks from the Greensboro Science Center. So the members there, like Joe said, they can come in free to VMNH. And we had seen it really strongly previously to the pandemic as well, especially at festivals. But we're still seeing that. Yeah, so that's a very strong program, and it's a good selling point for us to sell memberships as well. You can not only use it for our museum, but museums throughout the U.S. All right. Yeah, just moving on to item C, as far as reaching underserved audiences. I know we've talked about this a little bit. We're doing a lot of things. It's called Museums for All. And it's a program administered by IMLS, which is the Institute for Museum and Library Services. But basically, it's a program that provides reduced admission for folks that are taking part in the EBT program. So basically, the prices for admission are $2 for adults and $1 for children. IMLS and Museums for All do a great job promoting this program to recipients of the EBT program. And we try to promote it as well. So again, prior to the pandemic, we saw a huge, really strong number of people turn out to festivals that presented their EBT card and got the reduced admission. And we're actually seeing it at a higher percentage now during the pandemic than we did pre-pandemic. So it's a higher percentage of our overall visitors are EBT recipients and part of that program. And it's a great program. It's obviously it provides access to underserved audiences. We're also continuing to do things like need-based scholarships. So as we get either grants or corporate partnerships for scholarships, we always try to make those need-based. And our general sort of guideline for that is the free and reduced lunch program. So kids can present that, the parents present that information to get the scholarships for different programs. And the last thing I'll mention, it's kind of in the beginning stages, but we have talked about some bilingual exhibit, new materials, and also sort of retroactively presenting a lot of what we do, Spanish language as well as English. And so I know, Jonathan, you've talked about that. Christy and her staff in education are working on that as well. And so it's got a lot of potential, and we're very excited about that. And now is sort of a good time to work on that, so that when we're back up and running, we're hitting the ground running as far as that goes.
Ryan, refresh my memory on the date of the opening of the next major exhibit. That's going to be Flight, correct?
Flight exhibit. So the current exhibit is the Cats exhibit, and that's going to be open through next fall. So we're looking at, we wanted to have it open through Dragon Festival next October, because the thought is a lot of the folks, it opened right before the pandemic hit. So a lot of folks have not had the opportunity to view that exhibit. So after that, we will close that exhibit and then launch the Flight exhibit either in December or probably more likely January 2022, I guess it would be.
Yeah, and I think we talked about targeting that as our first completely bilingual exhibit, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. So those are some quick points. Like I said, there's a lot more to it, and I know if you do not have a copy of the advancement report, I'd be happy to send that. But we're just trying to use it as a tool, just like the strategic plan. We don't want to have it collect dust. We want to use it and apply it to what we do every day.
And of course, it'll be included with the board packet going out. It's coming out pretty soon, actually. Should get that out within the next couple of weeks.
Thanks, everyone. I'm happy to answer any questions, but I guess we're moving on.
So I guess we can move on to questions, discussion, item 4.
One thing I just want to bring up, I was kind of giving this some consideration over the weekend. So I wanted to hear what folks had to say. I think we should get our underserved audience information to our city council members. We, of course, have an election coming up. I think it would be nice if they could relay our everything from our Museums for All to the needs-based scholarships and so forth to their particular constituents. So we can do the same thing with the Henry County administrators. So and see if they'll help us identify further folks locally. And if we meet with some success at that, I don't see why we shouldn't go to our, and if nothing else, our neighboring counties, even North Carolina. Can steal some of their tourism.
Joe, I've got a question.
Mhm.
During the pandemic, the Virginia EBT, there was a pandemic EBT that was sent out. So pretty much everybody in Henry County that had a child in public schools, everybody in Patrick County that had a child in public school, anybody that was receiving free or reduced meals at school now has a pandemic EBT card. So how is that going to work in the future? Is that something that it wasn't necessarily based on each individual, it was based on the locality. So there's going to be so many more of those cards out in circulation. What are we going to do about that?
Well, Ryan, do you want to start?
Yeah, I remember that now, Mary. And I think what the difference is going to be, basically anybody who has a card like that can present it at the box office and we'll honor it. Most definitely. But the people who are on the regular program are going to be the ones receiving the marketing from Museums for All. So, but if anybody presents it, obviously we'll honor it.
Yeah, and
I have two of them.
cool.
We have them too.
I looked at it as a tax refund.
We got them in Halifax County as well.
Yeah.
I think it could potentially be a good thing because it might actually broaden our audiences a bit. You know, and, we like to talk about the donor pyramid, and the first thing you do to get someone into the donor pyramid is to have them visit. I know a lot of people who are going to be using these cards are right now not in a financial situation where they'll have expendable income, but you don't know about the future. They might have had this great experience and then, they got their dream job and 5 years down the line, they're doing great, so first thing you do is you get them to visit, and then, hopefully they get a membership and then they become a donor and you work your way up the donor pyramid. So I think in the long term, this is something that's beneficial for us.
You're also planting the seeds with the kids for future.
Oh yeah.
Two ideas. You mentioned about, I think it was about 2 different programs that helps lower income folks be able to visit. I'm just curious is this on the webpage somewhere? Is there like a one pager? I'm thinking that if it's something simple, a couple of paragraphs, I could try to see if there's some people that might be able to translate it into some other languages. That could be PDFs on the website, unless you've got people there already. I guess the part of the trick is getting the word out on those, but at least if it's in a couple of different languages, it might help out.
That'd be great. We do have information on the website. I will have to say, we literally, I think it was Friday or Saturday, our new website just launched. So it has a lot of the same information that the old website has, but let me see here. Yeah, we've got a paragraph under admissions on EBT discounted admissions through the Museums for All initiatives, as well as the Aztec Passport program. So if you take a look at that, Roberto, let me know how you want to proceed and how we can help.
Yeah, I just wanted to plug, I didn't know if it had gotten out, but when I'm just doing a touchback to the strategic planning committee where we had the long discussion on demographics and all different audiences within the state. So that would eventually, I think part of the request that we'd have future conversations, and it would help filter into this plan as well in the future with a bit deeper demographic and a bit more explicit outreach, so that we could, when we do send it, to the folks you mentioned and just the public in general, they would be aware that even if it's not, jumping out at them, this is something that is being done in the background and foreground within the operations.
Well, let's hold off sending any of this information out to, say, city council or the county supervisors and whatnot. I think we could send it to them in a bilingual format, and hopefully they can help get it to multiple constituencies.
Yeah, that was my other wonder when we talk about a lot of the sponsors coming in stuff. I wonder what they're doing to market and publicize the fact that they're also, both sides. We do our marketing and they're hopefully doing their marketing as well to their employee base, if not their customer base.
I'll have to say it down here. It's not something that I see a lot. I don't hear a lot of talk about making business information more accessible. I really don't. I don't know, Ryan or Jonathan, if you agree or disagree, but I just don't personally see a lot of it. I think us doing it and pushing it might usher in more of it.
I feel like when we bring things like that up, it's very well received, but they kind of view it. I think they think we're being very innovative. It's not necessarily top of the list always for different organizations, but I think us pushing it leaves a good impression. It's very well received.
Yeah, some organizations are more hounds at cause marketing than others. So I'm just having been in those shoes, I'm like looking for any potential extra selling point that they might be able to hook onto, because sometimes the community outreach person isn't necessarily the marketing person. So
right.
Sometimes a community outreach person doesn't really worry about exposure, whereas the marketing person, that's the first thing they're going to ask you. How many eyeballs are you going to get me?
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, and just going back to the not only the virtual programming, but the things like scholarships, need-based scholarships, they're very strong selling points. And so, yeah, I think the more we can build on that, the better. I just point out too, Zach Ryder, who is hidden in the shadows on this call, is worked long and hard on the website, and it looks great, works great. So just want to recognize his work, and he did a great job. So.
It does look good. I just brought it up and scrolled through it.
Yeah, with that, just FYI, I know Mary participated in this amongst others, and Roberto did as well. But we decided to wait for our membership drive to start with these videos that we're going to read. We did 30-second videos talking about mission and so forth, even during the pandemic. So we're going to turn that into a membership drive. And now with the new website, fellows, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we're all now fully equipped to do memberships and donations and whatnot online.
Yes, and Zach and I just talked before the call, and we're going to start rolling out these campaigns, these promotions, really within the week. So we're going to have not only a membership drive, but the physical Discovery Fund letters, that's our annual fund, are going out starting this week. And so along with that, we're going to do a social media and website push for folks online as well, and hopefully reach the same folks multiple times. So people can either mail in their check, do it online. So very exciting. Look for that within the week.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none, I guess we'll adjourn the meeting.
Thank you all for your time today. Very much appreciate it. And you look out for your board packets going out in the next week or two.
And that's going to be a virtual meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
That could certainly be a point of discussion. If we want to return at least in part to a socially distanced in-person meeting combined with Zoom. I think with the emergency declaration, there's a lot of flexibility, even though we still have certain rules we have to follow.
Okay. All right. Well, I'd say we're adjourned.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
Jerry. See you, Jeff.
Bye-bye.
See you, Roberto.
Hey, Joe, Jonathan, and Ryan, can you all stay in for 60 seconds on the
Sure.
line?
Sure.
All right. So for tomorrow, Joe, I got your email regarding tomorrow's meeting. I had sent you one Friday, but it probably just got lost in the weeds there. I can go ahead and send out the invitation to the participants with the Zoom invitation. I didn't know if you all had any time this afternoon, maybe after 4, to have a quick call with the 4 of us as well as Christy, just to make sure we're all on the same page for tomorrow, or if you didn't think that was necessary.
I wouldn't mind it even if it's brief. By coincidence, I have another